Please remain standing for the singing of the old academic song Gaudeamus Igitur. In Latin, the words are on the back of your program.
Everybody can sit down. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the installation ceremony for the 9th president of Scripps College, Lara Tiedens. I'm Amy Marcus Newhall, Vice President for Academic Affairs and Dean of the Faculty. Presidential inaugurations are very special events in the life of a college because they mark the beginning of a new chapter. Today, we not only commemorate a new chapter of leadership, but a new opportunity for our community to learn and grow together, to celebrate our areas of strength, and to contemplate new possibilities. Our inaugural theme, Past, Present, Future, provides the perfect frame for this reflection, and also a wonderful preview of what you will hear from the 13 speakers listed in your program. My role is to keep us on time, and I am certain that I was selected because I tend to be quite a fast talker. So if we start to get behind it all, I will just speed up. I'm sure you will enjoy today's installation ceremony, and we are so honored that you've chosen to be a part of this special event. I would now like to introduce Imam Adel Zeb, a chaplain, interfaith scholar, and TEDx speaker to provide reflections on this occasion.
In the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful. It's been a taxing year. Our nation has become more divided than we have seen in recent years. We are constantly wrestling with the myriad of social inequities that encompass our society. The national climate of political unrest, executive orders, racial injustices, DAPL, walls, LGBTQ discriminations, the vandalization of Jewish cemeteries, Black Lives Matter, deportations, micro and macro aggressions towards disabled, the pain of misogyny. All of these collective pains in our society have taken our emotional capacities to the brim. We are dealing with the intersectionality of pains. This systemic chaos has permeated into the ethos of the Claremont colleges. We've had protest, miscommunications, broken hearts, hurt feelings, and have lost some in our community in the process. Dealing with that grief is painful, and we all select our respective ways to exercise our grief. I feel that in some ways, sometimes through our own experiences and feelings, we project what we believe and feel is right upon others that we work with. These critiques should emanate from a locality of propriety, from an ethical framework, and with the intentionality of harmony and justice. When we navigate the waters of tension, our respective vantage points are always right, at least subjectively. At the same time, I feel that we should venture into the deepest abyss of our minds, hearts, and souls, and find that compassion to internalize that we may be wrong, and we may make mistakes, and others may also make mistakes. But the grace that we hopefully allow for ourselves, we allow for others. It's good to be critical, but with the lens of critical loyalty, that we critique to see our community progress together, that we are all one Scripps community, faculty, students, staff, delegates, board of trustees, volunteers, administration, alumni, and others. We are all one Scripps family. We laugh, we cry, and we sometimes fight like family. But at the end of the day, after we have eaten all of those 6 p.m. fresh chocolate chip cookies from Scripps Dining Hall, after we've had those coffees at the Motley, after we have done our swimming in the Scripps Resort Gym, after all the finals and stress is over, we are family. We must come together and communicate with one another as a family, that no matter what, we stick together, we hear and listen to one another, feel one another's pain, understand and grow from those experiences to become an even better Scripps College. So I stand today on this beautiful and blessed Saturday to invite everyone here to celebrate our new president and to welcome her as we would welcome our own family members and celebrate her arrival. We pray for a successful, spiritually uplifting, and emotionally fulfilling beginning to your journey here at Scripps and for our beloved community to become an even greater family and to walk that path with you together. Amen. Welcome to our community. Congratulations. Thank you.
The next three speakers will describe President Tiedens' introduction to Claremont, which may be identified as the 5 C's, the CUC, or the city, depending upon who you ask. I would like to introduce Mark Herron, Chair of the Scripps Board of Trustees. He will be followed by Larry Schroeder, Mayor of the City of Claremont, and third, Hiram Chodosh, President of Claremont McKenna College and Chair of the Claremont College's Council of Presidents.
Good afternoon. I'm Mark Herron, Chair of the Scripps College Board of Trustees, and proud to be the son of a member of the college's class of 1945. It's my great pleasure to add my welcome to all of you to this momentous event in the history of our institution, the inauguration of Lara Tiedens as the 9th president of Scripps College. On behalf of Scripps, I would like to thank the presidents of the Claremont colleges, delegates from higher education, our trustees, alumni, parents, students, faculty, staff, and friends of the college who have joined us here today. We are also joined by 3 distinguished former presidents of the college, our good friends Nancy Bekovac, Frederick Fritz Weiss, and Lori Bettison Varga, all of whom have so dutifully served this institution. Nancy, Fritz, and Lori, would you please stand and be recognized? I would also like to acknowledge Dean Amy Marcus Newhall, who served so capably as our interim president in 2015 and 16. I extend a warm welcome to President Tiedens' family, especially her parents, Kathleen and Michael Zuckart, who traveled here from South Bend, Indiana. The Zuckarts spent time visiting faculty at CMC in 1976 and 1977. During that time, young Laura attended Sycamore School and the Mary B. Eyre Children's School at Scripps. Welcome back, and thank you for introducing Laura to Claremont at an early age. We are also joined by Laura's husband, Dale, and their 2 children, Elena and William. In addition, we cannot forget a special thanks to the alumni, students, faculty, and staff who are the heart and spirit of this venerable college. Although we gather here at the end of April 2017 for the official installation of Laura as the 9th president of the college, she has actually been on the job since August of last year. And it was in March 2016 when some of us had the good fortune of meeting Laura for the first time as part of the presidential search process. Other than reading her CV, we did not know Laura. But I knew she was special as soon as the interview started. She had a presence and calmness about her that was immediately apparent. This was particularly impressive when we learned on that weekend morning in a deserted law office in a deserted Century City that she had managed to deal with not 1 but 2 canceled or delayed flights to get to us from the Bay Area and had arrived just moments before the interview started. We learned more about Laura and her academic career as a social psychologist focusing on leadership dynamics, among other things. We learned more about her important role at Stanford. And we learned more about her as a person, particularly at a clandestine dinner former board chair Linda Davis Taylor and I enjoyed with her and Dale at a small restaurant in Upland where we hoped not to be spotted. We were not, as far as we know. The board and I have had the pleasure of working with Lara since August, and as board chair, I work particularly closely with her. She has demonstrated exactly the skill set we expected from her background, and which all her references commented on. That is the ability to receive, process, understand, and synthesize input from many, often conflicting voices, and then lead the group to reaching consensus. This is a remarkable skill, and it will serve the college well as we move into our second century in just a few years. Laura, it's a true pleasure watching you lead the college and working with you. We are very fortunate to have you. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Larry Schrader, Mayor of Claremont. On behalf of the Claremont City Council and the City of Claremont, I'd like to officially welcome Dr. Tiedens to our beautiful town. I'm honored to represent the city today and express my gratitude for being included in this afternoon's program. It's fitting this city is here today because there would be no Claremont without the Claremont colleges. Our history is shared going back to the 1800s, when a small town grew around a vibrant new college. Throughout the years, our success has been dependent on each other. Growth for the colleges is growth for the city. Claremont takes pride in the fact that so many Claremont College alumni, faculty, and staff call Claremont home. Many of our commissioner and community advocates are Scripps College alumni and faculty. Scripps students are active volunteers in our community and bring with them a wealth of knowledge and skills that directly benefit our city. Scripps College prepares women to be leaders in Claremont and communities around the world. We are excited to see this new generation of empowered women step into leadership roles and lead our world. I and the City Council look forward to working with Dr. Tiedens in the future. And now I'd like to present a certificate on behalf of the city to Dr. Tiedens and wish her well. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Just look around, everybody. This has got to be the most beautiful campus in the entire country. And we are so fortunate to be here. Chairman Herron, members of the board, distinguished faculty, students, staff, alumni, and especially the Tiedens family. We are honored today to celebrate the inauguration of my close friend and colleague, Lara Tiedens, as the 9th president of Scripps College. As president of Claremont McKenna College and this year's chair of the President's Council, it is great to welcome her, Dale, the kids, to our community. And I'd also like to extend a very special congratulations to her parents, Drs. Catherine and Michael Zuckert. This inauguration is a special, inspiring moment for both Scripps and the Claremont colleges. Unlike any academic consortium in the United States, all but Pomona were founded and supported by pre-existing members of our group, inspired by the models of Oxford and Cambridge. Through the uniquely American vision for the group plan, we grew from and out of one another. Scripps from Pomona and the graduate school, CMC from both, Pitzer and Harvey Mudd and Keck from the other siblings in our collective. The free exchange across the colleges and the strong joint interdisciplinary programs like Keck Science, a partnership of Scripps, Pitzer, and CMC, as well as our Claremont Mudd Scripps athletic program, tie us even more closely together. So many of the Claremont College alumni are spouses and siblings and cousins and aunts and uncles. Unlike other consortia bound merely by contract, here we are family. In fact, as Mark recounted, these connections run so deep, as you heard, that it's actually President Tiedens' second tour on our Claremont College campus. And I think as one of the most prominent alumni of our children's school, she should be on the top of our donor list, don't you? But there's more than just family that binds us. We share a common purpose: to put higher learning to the service of a greater good, to empower this generation to realize their dreams and learn to make important contributions to those around them. Today, a college dedicated to the empowerment of women inaugurates an exemplary leader, a president who personifies the institutional commitments of Scripps as well as the Claremont colleges. President Tiedens' expertise in the emotional dimensions of inequality and her vast programmatic experience in leadership education derive from very personal concerns. Her intellectual and personal commitments contribute a critical core of expertise to higher education as well as our own Claremont communities. No one could be better prepared to help surmount the challenges and seize the exciting opportunities we all face in higher education today. Her leadership moves us all beyond Scripps as she chairs Keck Science and serves on the Council of Presidents with fresh, sharp questions, thoughtful insights, an incredibly quick study, inclusive facilitation, and an unwavering commitment to the personal and intellectual growth of our students. President Tiedens extends her deep understanding, personal warmth, and professional commitment to everything we do as a Claremont family, and for this, we are all of us on the council, all of us in the Claremont colleges, forever grateful to Scripps for bringing Lara Tiedens into our special family, and for this, we congratulate all of you as well on the inauguration of your outstanding 9th president of Scripps College, Lara Tiedens. Thank you very much.
We will now have the opportunity to learn more about President Tiedens' life before Scripps. This is the part I've been waiting for. Her parents, Catherine and Michael Zuckert, will share some, hopefully, embarrassing stories on behalf of the family. Maya Young, Associate Professor of Management and Organizations at UCLA Anderson School of Management, will share memories of her experience as a student mentored by Dr. Tiedens. And we will hear from Margaret Ann Neal, President Tiedens' mentor at Stanford and the Adams Distinguished Professor of Management at Stanford Graduate School of Business.
As the robes indicate, Lara comes from an academic family. Between us, Michael and I have taught at the college level for almost 100 years. This may not deserve applause. We thus share the tendency of faculty to distrust administrators. But in this case, we know that this faculty distrust is misplaced. We don't want to claim that Lara never did anything that displeased us. We did find her sneaking out of the house one night, and we somehow suspected that wasn't a singular occurrence. I recall very well the day that, as a college student deep into radical feminism, she informed me that marriage was just another form of prostitution. That wasn't our best day. These incidents, I'm happy to say, were not typical. Lara was an especially loving and lovable child who displayed an extraordinary insight into the thoughts and emotions of other human beings and very mature judgment at a very early age. Even when she was a young child, people gathered to her to seek her advice and for comfort. We thus expected her to become a psychologist, although a clinical psychologist, not a professor of organizational behavior. We never suspected that she would become one of those administrators we faculty saw as the other. But from an early age, she did show a certain ambition. When she was 5 years old, Michael and I spent a year teaching at CMC, then Claremont Men's College, which had just gone co-ed. One day, Lara raised the question at home, why is it that the adults always get to be the bosses of the family? She wanted to hold an election. And she volunteered to run for boss. We don't recall how that election came out, but you can see which way she was leaning. We don't think that becoming a college president had ever been her dream, but we do know that the opportunity to join Scripps has put her in a position to act on some of her deepest and most long-standing convictions. She believes that women should become leaders and that women's colleges are a proven means of achieving that end. She also believes strongly in diversity and inclusion in higher education. Michael and I are very happy and proud to take part in her inauguration as president of Scripps College. We always believed this was the most beautiful of the Claremont colleges. And we just learned that the president of CMC agrees.
Lara, I am grateful to have been your research assistant, your teaching assistant, your student, and your co-author. And I'm proud to call you my mentor and friend. 18 years ago, I arrived to the Stanford Graduate School of Business as a first-year doctoral student. And that's where I met Lara. And Lara was a relatively new assistant professor then. And I got to monopolize a lot of her time before word got out that she's a go-to resource for advice. Of course, word did get out, and her time was soon in high demand. And the reason why everybody started to realize this is because, as you've started to hear, Lara speaks with utter clarity, discernment, and wisdom. Among the graduate students, we might bicker or argue furiously, what's the best way to run this study? Which measures should we use? How should we frame the argument of this paper? And if Lara weighed in, it all became clear. We would think, oh, right, that's the way to do it. She just spoke with such wisdom and imparted her truth to us in a really clear way. One instance in which she made a particularly lasting impact on my life was in my last year of graduate school. I was going on the market for a job, and I had a lot of anxiety and uncertainty about whether I would get a job. And it was at this time that another professor, a different professor, whose opinion I really cared about, said to me, I'm not sure I can write you a good letter of recommendation anymore. I'm not sure you have the ambition to succeed. In tears, and frankly scared that it was true, I went to Lara and I told her about this. And I'll never forget her response. She said to me, I'm not sure ambition is the most important thing to succeeding as an academic. You see, she didn't rebut what this other professor said about me. She undermined the entire premise of it. I picked myself up a little bit in that moment, and I remember saying to her, well, what is the most important thing to being an academic? And she thought about it, and she said, I'm just not sure ambition is the most important thing. she never actually told me what she thought was the most important thing was to being a good academic. And because of that, I revisited the question several times in the course of my career. And I've landed on different answers at different stages. As a side note, I never revisited the question of whether ambition was part of it. You see, in that moment, she helped me in the way I needed the most. She helped me to dispel the fear. But she didn't tell me how to think about it. And so, I've thought about it over the years, and I've thought, I bet she did have an opinion on that day. I bet she had something she could have told me. But in that moment, she thought about it, and she knew that what would help me the most and what would take me the farthest was if she let me figure out for myself what was my own truth and how I could help myself. So thank you, Lara, for being a part of my life. I'm so happy for you, and I just wish you the best here at Scripps.
I met Lara about 20 years ago. She was interviewing for a position at Stanford. And I remember how impressed we were with the talk that she gave as her job talk. In fact, she really impressed a historically curmudgeonly sociologist in our group who had little respect for our psychologically trained candidates. But her command of her topic and her ability to respond to his questions impressed him in a way that I have not seen before or since. We knew she was special at that moment and decided to make her an offer before she even left the Stanford campus. But Lara's presence, which has been mentioned by other people, doesn't come naturally to her. Later, she revealed that she spent hours in front of a mirror practicing her talks. I often use the analogy of teaching as a theatrical performance. Each class is a theatrical production, and Lara always knew her lines. But since joining Scripps, I hear she's become much better at extemporaneous speaking because she doesn't have the luxury of hours of mirrored preparation. But what made Lara such a success as a researcher is her unique superpower. She can analyze social situations by filtering out the irrelevant details of these complex interactions until all that is left is the critical underlying dimensions. Her work on emotions is a great example of this. The accepted wisdom pre-Tiedens was that positivity or negativity of emotions affected individuals' thinking. When we were happy, we didn't think very deeply. When we were sort of in a negative emotion state, we thought more deeply. Rather than linking cognition to valence, she suggested that emotions differ in how much uncertainty was associated with them. In her theorizing, happiness and anger, positive and negative emotions, were both certain emotions and caused and reinforced folks' thinking in a very kind of top-of-the-mind way. But surprise or sadness got us to think more deeply. While my short summary does not do justice to this research and the impact of these findings, it did transform the field of emotions and cognition. But it is perhaps her work on hierarchy for which she is best known, in contrast to the well-accepted and taught notion of the attraction of similarity. She found that complementarity, when one member of a relationship behaves in a dominant way, the other behaving in a different way, that creates these relationship partners' enhanced relationship, increasing the liking, the more fluent social interactions, the more positive affect, and and more rapid information processing. Thus, as we all know now, it is not just the powerful who maintain hierarchies, but we all do. And it is through this superpower that she became the intellectual leader of our group at Stanford. We all waited breathlessly in our weekly seminars to see what question Lara would ask of the presenter. She was always polite, but more often than not, her questions exposed a design or theoretical weakness in the researchers' papers, or redirected the thinking of the presenters in a way that no one had expected. It was a joy to watch, but I will admit that it was quite daunting if you happen to be the presenter. Lara is and has been an independent thinker and a realist. She brings her considerable intellect and insight to the application and intricacies of power, hierarchy, and emotion. And I am privileged to have been her advisor, her co-author, and her friend. Thank you.
It's hard to believe that President Tiedens joined the Scripps community less than 9 months ago. I may be the happiest person in this entire area about her arrival. During that time, she's demonstrated her commitment to building strong relationships with all members of our community. The following speakers will share their perspectives on her early connections with trustees, alumni, and staff. We will welcome Betsy Weinberg-Smith, class of '74, alumna, trustee, and co-chair of the Presidential Search Committee. Kendra Armour, chair of class of '93, alumna and president of the Scripps Alumni Association. And Jackie Lagasque, co-chair of Scripps College Staff Council.
Amy, I'm sure you meant to say the wildly successful search committee. My name is Betsy Smith. I'm the class of '74, a longtime trustee, and co-chair with my co-trustee Bob Sachs of the search committee. On behalf of our whole committee, I want to welcome Lara to Scripps and to Claremont. Today really is the culmination of a process that started almost 2 years ago. The process itself was highly inclusive, with trustees, alums, faculty, staff, and students represented. The net we cast was wide geographically and wide professionally, with few restrictions on sector experience. We were on the prowl, looking for someone with a passion for the liberal arts and for the education of young women, and for someone with the capacity to manage a complex community. As we kept telling our consultant and everyone else who would ask us, our ambitions were very high. Scripps has superb students, a superb faculty, a highly loyal and supportive board and alumni community, and a berth in one of the most interesting educational consortiums in the world. We were going to wait until we found our dream candidate, and we did. A search committee never knows when an opportunity might touch the imagination and ambition of someone who wants to change course and take on a big new set of responsibilities with the chance to make a huge impact on scores of people. And Lara was that someone. She arrived late in the process, after we had seen many qualified candidates, and we were immediately struck not only by her intelligence, her academic credentials, and her commitment to liberal arts and to women's leadership, but especially by her poise, her willingness to listen, and by her bravery to leave a place where she had been so successful to take on this opportunity to bring Scripps to a new level. And in having these qualities and in using them for this cause, she would be the role model for the remarkable young women at Scripps. And just when you think you're the one giving someone to something, we gave this opportunity to Lara, you realize that you're getting something back too. And in the process of defining the kind of leader we wanted, we had the opportunity to look at ourselves, the values we want to uphold, the ambitions we had for ourselves and for our institution. And by reaching into our community and agreeing together on those ambitions and values, we strengthened ourselves and reinforced our ability and commitment to support our president as she undertakes this exciting challenge. So thank you, and thank you, Lara, for joining us.
I am honored to welcome President Lara Tiedens to Scripps on behalf of the Alumni Association. The association started small, with just 39 members in our first class, the class of 1931. As the college grew, and the size of each class grew, so did this association, and we will soon be welcoming 260 new members when they graduate in 2 weeks. Today, we number more than 8,000 strong. We are many and various. We live across all 50 states and in 46 countries around the world. We work in wide-ranging industries and professions, in our homes and in our communities. We are students and professors, entrepreneurs and artists, troublemakers and do-gooders, parents and activists, scientists and legislators. We may be 2 of these, or 4 or more over the course of our lifetimes as we define and redefine what we want to be. That is the power of a Scripps education, and that is the power of the role model that we have in President Tiedens. More than 350 of us have volunteered for the college this past year. We serve on the Alumni Leadership Council, the Board of Trustees, and countless other committees. We speak on panels, host events, mentor students, and give our time and talent to the college in so many ways. These efforts impact not only the current community, but they extend the strength of our network with one another and with the wider world. As President Tiedens has met with and spoken with alumni around the country and here on campus this past year, I know she has been hearing about the love that we have for this college, the beautiful campus, and the people here who make the community what it is and what each one of us thinks it could be. We care so deeply about the college and the students, perhaps because of the time in our lives that we spend here. Now, I know this should be true for college students generally, that this is a very transformative time, but I have found that there is something specific and deep about the connection that Scripps alums have here, as I have come to know so many of them. The connection we have to the college as alumni is a connection not just to our past selves, but also to today's students and to the wider Scripps community. This connection impels us to strive for change, to bring more equity and more justice to the college, more today than there was yesterday, and more tomorrow than there is today. As we mark the college's 90th year and move to our first century mark, and as we celebrate the inauguration of our 9th president, my wish is that the members of the Alumni Association will continue with this undertaking, will continue to support the students, and will continue to help the college thrive. Welcome, President Tiedens.
The most important and beautiful gift one human being can give to another is in some way to make life a little better to live. Alan Browning Scripps. At this historical moment, I wanted to reflect on how President Tiedens has contributed to making life and work better at Scripps College. She has partnered with Staff Council, and I am thankful to have a president that recognizes the importance of strengthening a college community. At Scripps and through Staff Council, I've encountered and engaged with insightful mentors, phenomenal human beings, and I've had the fortune of learning from them the importance of good leadership. And I can count Lara Tiedens in that category of great leadership. I wanted to also say that it's been an honor to witness how she has discovered the growth of professional and personal and academic development of students. She's also been a partner and celebrated a lot of our faculty achievements. But with staff, the personal connection with Staff Council has been very crucial. It's been rewarding to see how she's celebrated staff contributions and recognition. I joined Staff Council unaware of the impact it would have on all of us. Over time, I grew to know that there's a strong group of dedicated, compassionate, and resilient staff here, ready to make Scripps a better place for everyone. With the power of collective action, we have come together to hope to make experiences for staff and the rest of the community better. We realized that to tackle grievances, bouts of low morale, or feelings of disconnection, we needed to take a positive approach, and we partnered with Lara Tiedens on this. Together, we collaborated, and she played a crucial role in supporting events and initiatives at Scripps. She helped with supporting bullying policies. She's helped with connecting faculty and staff together to kind of have ice cream socials and partner on nonprofit charities. In the past year, we've partnered with local shelters for food drives and collected over 2,000 donations. We worked with women organizations that help for reproductive rights. We also donated to local charities that helped orphans. What I learned from working with President Tiedens is that our ability to support each other is crucial. Our ability to believe in the power of community is crucial. And our ability to take action to build that community is even more so. The amount of trust and respect and encouragement that President Tiedens has given Staff Council is extraordinary. President Tiedens invested more than just confidence in our council. She was an active listener. She met with our team constantly and discussed how she could spark further progress for our efforts. She acknowledged the importance of staff's desire to contribute a collective voice to Scripps College. And she consistently reached out to learn about the campus climate and offered resources when we needed to get together. She even gave us a budget, our first ever. Really good victory. President Tiedens shares the same values of Staff Council: to build a culture of hope and an era of leaders prepared to change the world for better, to improve their local communities, and to collaborate across all facets of diversity. Lara, for all that you have done, for all that you do to recognize, validate, and collaborate with our staff, I have the deepest gratitude. Staff Council looks forward to future partnerships with the President's office to continue to create a culture of hope and action. Thank you, Lara, and welcome once more to the Scripps College community.
President Tiedens will be the first to tell you how much she admires Scripps students, and her eyes light up when she speaks about the intimate experience of intellectual pursuit that Scripps offers for our students to flourish academically and personally. Sneha Deo, class of 2017, and president of the Scripps Associated Students, will speak to President Tiedens' engagement with students and the student experience. Andrew Jacobs, the Mary W. and J. Stanley Johnson Professor of Humanities, Professor of Religious Studies, Chair of Religious Studies, and Chair of the Faculty Executive Committee, will share how President Tiedens is supporting the pursuit of academic excellence at Scripps.
Good afternoon, friends of Scripps College. I am Sneha Deo, and I am here today to represent the Scripps student body. This is a task I do not take lightly. I am here to represent what I believe to be the most compassionate, engaged, and bright group of peers I could ever imagine. Peers who constantly challenge each other and our institution to be better, and who rise to meet the challenges they themselves face with determination and strength of will. It is because of these qualities, shared by students both past and present, that Scripps is what it is today. And it is also why I trust that Scripps will continue to grow beyond the revolutionary vision of its founders. In the coming years, President Tiedens will have a key role to play in determining the direction of that growth. As we consider how the institution might be pushed forward under her leadership, let me share an insight I gained from my first introduction to President Tiedens. That to challenge each other as we do here, we must also maintain a high level of trust for one another, and to do so is an active and intentional pursuit. I truly believe that it is this deep investment in trust that will guide President Tiedens through her time here at Scripps. During this year of her transition, the country and the college have been through the most difficult and unforeseeable of circumstances. And through it all, I have seen President Tiedens take every opportunity to be challenged by student perspectives and hold student needs in her mind in all aspects of her work. It gives me a profound confidence in what Lara can do for this school. She has already been a powerful force for change on this campus, guided by the meaningful relationships that she has forged with students, faculty, and staff. And I'm hopeful that the Scripps community can continue to put their trust in Lara and to consider and honor as she considers and honors all of our needs. And I'm confident that she will work tirelessly to continue to be worthy of that trust. Congratulations, President Tiedens. I think I speak for everyone when I say we await eagerly what comes in the following years.
I should not have agreed to speak after one of our students. Let me add my congratulations to President Tiedens for her inauguration today on behalf of the faculty of Scripps College. We members of the faculty have entered into the academic profession for a host of disparate reasons: a chance encounter with a certain professor, text, or image during our own college days, a half-formed idea of what a life of the mind might look like, a desire to work with young people and contribute to a new generation of leaders and thinkers. Our specific origin stories will vary, but I think at heart you'll find the same impulse that propelled many of us into this profession and that keeps us here, and that's passion. What might have begun as passion for a subject or a theme, politics, literature, science, culture, on, develops and grows once we get into the actual job of guiding and instructing these next generations. Our passion expands outward from our object of study, a passion for engagement, for transformation, for helping students to think higher, dream bigger, and explore beyond anything they might have imagined before coming to Scripps. I am enormously heartened that Scripps College 9th president comes from the ranks of the faculty, not just her own job, but her upbringing. Other institutions have experimented with presidents from outside the academic world, and there have been mixed results. I honestly don't know if it's possible to just pick up an appreciation for the, let's call it, animating passion of faculty members without having been among our number. Now, as president, Professor Tiedens has the challenging, but we can hope, rewarding job of engaging with a passionate faculty. And here I imagine that our own academic passions in psychology and organization, with specific and apt attention to the role of emotions in organized life, can dovetail with the challenges and rewards of this new position. We faculty are not just deeply engaged. As President Tiedens knew well before arriving at Scripps, and as she has been reminded since arriving, our deep engagements and passions are not always harmonious or in sync. We disagree, and sometimes those disagreements run deep. That is the natural consequence of independent thought and passion combined. But even our most intense disagreements are impelled by a passion for the potential for change and transformation that is the promise of Scripps College. Although elected as their Faculty Executive Committee Chair for this academic year, I cannot stand up here and speak for all of my faculty colleagues, nor do I see my role as that of a spokesperson, and I'm sure they would agree. But I can say, as one of their number, that we will continue to engage passionately and confidently, courageously, and hopefully, and work with our new president to help Scripps College live up to its promise. Welcome.
If I could please have trustees and former board chairs Linda Davis Taylor, Roxanne Wilson, and Jean Bixby Smith join me at the podium. We gather here for only the 9th time in Scripps College's 91-year history to commemorate the past and present and to celebrate the future. Scripps College is in a position of strength, with ambition to build upon its accomplishments and continue its prominent role in women's education. Our continued success requires thoughtful, authentic, and deliberate leadership that will build upon the forward-thinking accomplishments of our founder, Ellen Browning Scripps. The Board of Trustees, after long and careful consideration, has chosen Lara Tiedens to carry on this important work at Scripps College because we know her ability to lead is matched only by her ambition for this institution's continued success. If we could have Lara come to the podium. At this time, Linda Davis Taylor, Roxanne Wilson, Jean Bixby Smith, and I, speaking on behalf of the Board of Trustees, exercise our privilege and responsibility in installing Lara Tiedens as the William M. Keck Presidential Chair and 9th President of Scripps College.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm quite overwhelmed by everything that has been said here on the stage. I'm very touched by it. So I thank you, speakers, for your wonderful comments, trustees and past presidents for your support of Scripps College in the past and now, to my family, my parents for being here, my husband Dale, and my children Elena and William. They allowed me to completely disrupt their very happy lives just because I want to be here. I'm so thrilled that all of you are here with us this afternoon to celebrate this occasion. And I'm grateful to the students and the faculty and our guests for participating in all of the events this weekend. And I'm particularly grateful to the 50th reunion class that they were willing to share this very special reunion with my inauguration. Thank you. I also want to thank the Inauguration Steering Committee that was chaired by Binti Harvey and Shalane Colby, who envisioned this event, and then who led an amazingly large staff of people in choreographing everything that you have seen over the last 3 days. I'm sure that you will agree in saying that it has been executed perfectly. Thank you to all of you. I have to say, it was particularly special for me for Maya, Maggie, and my mom to take the stage, even though I'm pretty sure they all spoke untruths about my past. These are 3 women who have touched and shaped my life. But they also represent 3 different generations of women whose accomplishments, courage, and ingenuity reflect their times. They also are each examples of the way in which education can transform women's lives, the way it can empower them, and the way it allows them to support and promote other women. Maya's immigrant parents instilled in her a connection and respect for her roots, even though they were the only Chinese family in their Iowa town. And they promoted in her an abiding respect for scholarship and ideas. And these, Maya, those are the things that have propelled you. Maggie has spent her whole life being simultaneously criticized and rewarded for her sharp elbows. She has both gotten her way and she has paid a price, as women often do. She's occupied an overwhelmingly male world, and she's been the first woman who, on way too many fronts for me to count. And my mom, she's my mom. She has been a core of and a constant source of love and support for me and for my sisters, and now for her grandchildren. She also was so often in the role of being the first in her career, and she is someone whose love for the humanities and for philosophy kept her always focused on what she really valued. All 3 of these women, in their own way, brought me here to Scripps. It is the women like this in my life who make me so confident about how much women have to offer this world, and how the world has not yet seen all that we can contribute. They also help me know how key education is to the advancement of women, and how women's support of one another is necessary for our success. They've also shown me the way that the love of ideas, the strength of argument, that those things enrich both the self and the world. Over this weekend, and indeed over the last 9 months, I have reflected upon my own journey to Scripps, but also on Scripps's journey through the last 90 years. There are opportunities and challenges that shape our present experience, and there is a future that is yet to be written. Last year, at around this time, I was devouring every piece of information I could find about Scripps as I considered whether to join this community. In the course of my research, I discovered a sense of kinship with Ellen Browning Scripps, the publisher, the journalist, the suffragist, and businesswoman who founded Scripps College 90 years ago. In a biography about Ms. Scripps, Deborah Day described her as follows, quote, "She believed in education. She was an advocate of women's suffrage and women's clubs. Biology interested her. She abhorred discrimination and privilege. She favored temperance and world peace." Ms. Scripps invested in causes, institutions, and people that would create enduring benefits across generations. And she characterized her founding of Scripps as her most important work. And that is in the context of a lifetime of creating opportunities that broaden human knowledge. She came from an era where women were challenging traditional gender roles. They were pushing for their rights to obtain an education, pushing for the ability to vote and to work outside the home. She founded Scripps College on the idea that women deserve, need, and have a right to the highest quality education. In the early years, that spirit of reform found its way to every corner of this college. The curriculum was, as it is now, interdisciplinary. And at the time, that was novel and new. None of the traditional men's and women's colleges did that. And listen to this, half of the board of trustees were women. And we still maintain a board of trustees, majority women. That board of trustees fought to ensure that at least half of the faculty were women. Ellen Browning Scripps also dictated that the campus environment needed to be designed in a way that would facilitate relationships and collaboration through the use of courtyards and outdoor space. She knew that the roles and opportunities available to women had changed radically in her own lifetime, and she understood that they would continue to change. And as such, she did not dictate the details of the education, but she did indicate some values that should guide it. She believed that each woman should be able to create her own definition of womanhood, that women should be able to design lives that reflect their individual aspirations, passions, and experiences without discrimination or judgment. And we have ample evidence that her vision has been achieved by countless of our alumni. Let me tell you about just a few. There's Carlotta Wells, who's a class of 1939. She spent much of her career as an occupational therapist. She helped individuals with physical, emotional, and cognitive disorders to find independence. And at the same time, she ensured her own financial independence and encouraged other Scripps women to do the same. Then there's Norma Blair Gilmore, class of 1947. She's here today as one of our alumni marshals. After Scripps, Norma completed her PhD in education and has had a distinguished career in educational consulting and administration. She pioneered a set of assessment and therapy tools for use with children with visual impairments and delayed readers, and she continues to publish in her field. Then there's Susan Finley, the class of 1958. She is NASA's longest-serving female employee, and her pioneering work as a space engineering specialist helped land a rover on Mars. When I met Susan in Pasadena earlier this fall, she told the group of us gathered that really what helped her be a great scientist was the humanities core at Scripps College. Then there's Gwendolyn Reese, class of 1985.
curator of music and performing arts at the Smithsonian's newest museum, the National Museum of African American History and Culture. These are just a few of the stories that show how the seeds of Ellen Browning's Scripps, those that she planted 90 years ago, have consistently produced generations of educational excellence, academic and professional achievement, and societal impact. Now, in many ways, Scripps of the present faces an era of experimentation similar to that which preceded it in the 1920s. Shifting economic, political, and societal currents have led to a period of self-reflection and critical examination of the traditions, mores, and standards that have governed our individual and institutional behavior. Yet, I believe, Scripps' mission remains as relevant today as it was 90 years ago. Our mission is to educate women to develop their intellects and talents through active participation in a community of scholars so that as graduates they may contribute to society through public and private lives of leadership, service, integrity, and creativity. In 2017, we find ourselves working harder than ever to address the challenges that confront us. There continue to be worldwide disparities between women and men in economic opportunities, educational attainment, health, and political empowerment. And we do this in the context where the society at large is questioning the value of higher education generally, and particularly of liberal arts degrees. Some raise questions about whether colleges can produce an environment where all can learn and develop, or whether, enmeshed in their histories, they're more congruent and comfortable for some students than others, and whether this leaves space for all the voices and experiences. Others raise questions about the extent to which students at liberal arts colleges are exposed to a wide enough set of views, or whether the acceptable range of thinking is too narrow. It is my strong belief that if there is any institution that is capable of proving the value of the liberal arts degree and reshaping the environment for that public debate, it is Scripps College. Here, we believe in the power of community. We value ideas, but not at the expense of the people that these ideas impact. And we seek an understanding in an effort to know people and to care for them and to produce a better world. Just as when Scripps was founded, we are developing in our students the ability to think clearly and independently and to live confident, courageous, and hopeful lives. Our students of today illustrate that perfectly. Take, for example, Christine Gao, class of 2017. She's an economics and politics dual major, minoring in Hispanic studies, and she's received a Fulbright Award to teach English in Malaysia. Or Meryl Tomey, also class of 2017, a molecular biology major on the pre-med track who received a Davis Project for Peace grant to promote awareness about mental health. Then there's Noor Hamdi, class of 2018, a politics and Middle East and North Africa studies major. She founded the 5C Refugee Advocacy Network because she wanted to provide concrete ways for students to make a difference in the lives of refugees right here in our region. Or Jillian Holzer, class of 19, an art history major whose research on the artist Michael Childers informed the exhibition of photographs currently on view now at Scripps Ruth Chandler Williamson Gallery, and I hope you will visit it while you are here today. While we continue to see Scripps' impact reflected in the accomplishments of our students, the world looks dramatically different than it did 90 years ago. And the college has wisely embraced change to ensure its ability to deliver an exceptional educational experience. Just some of the innovations that have occurred over the past 90 years include the addition of the W.M. Keck Science Department, the transition to the Elizabeth Hubert Malott Commons as the central dining facility on campus, the establishment of the LASPA Center for Leadership, and the addition of new majors like art conservation, environmental analysis, and media studies. And these all show the ways in which we can evolve to meet our changing world. Right now, Scripps, like many of the institutions in Claremont and throughout our nation, is faced with another opportunity for change.
Some of you this weekend may have witnessed firsthand our students' passion for social justice, and it's reflected in their vocal activism for changes right here. These students are using their voices to advocate for changes because they want to make the Scripps educational experience even more fulfilling, enlightening, and life-changing for students from all backgrounds. And I appreciate their efforts, and in most ways, their underlying goals are my goals. All of us here at Scripps have been working, and we will continue to work to provide resources and support to help all of our students thrive academically and personally during their time here. We all want that. As we think about the opportunities and challenges that exist for today's Scripps graduates and the skills that they will need to successfully navigate their own futures, we recognize the ways in which we achieve our mission have to change because the context in which we operate has changed. To Ms. Scripps, education implied growth, and growth meant change and progress, not security and status quo. Scripps is positioned to meet these challenges. We will cultivate the next generation of scholars and leaders, and they will translate a rigorous liberal arts education into individual influence and global impact. Now, this may seem like a grand vision. For a college with fewer than 1,000 students, around 120 faculty, on just 32 acres and 35 miles outside of Los Angeles. But I believe we will accomplish it because we are a community of individuals who are eager to make a difference and who will not be limited by the status quo. As we embark on the next chapter of Scripps' legacy, the final decade of its first century, we are confronted with the question of how to live up to Ms. Scripps' challenge to us. Answering that question, living up to that challenge, will be an ongoing and evolving process, but must be guided by our aspirations and by our ideals. We remain committed to offering the best educational experience to our students. There are, of course, so many liberal arts colleges. We know them and we compare ourselves to them, and we share much in common with them. And yet those of us who know Scripps know that it has a distinctive identity, and one that generates pride among our faculty, our staff, our students, and our alumni. I've spoken to so many alumni over the last year who celebrate the lifelong friendships that they made here and the way in which their education supported and sustained them for decades following graduation. Our students savor the educational experience that offers them intense intellectual rigor in a collaborative environment. Our faculty fiercely protects Scripps' commitment to the humanities and a broad-based liberal arts education, and they understand and affirm daily the power of student-faculty interaction and mentorship. And our staff cherish the close-knit community and the ability to learn right alongside the students. For so many of us, once we have been touched by Scripps, we cannot forget it, nor do we want to. It forges an immediate and deep connection with others who know the special experience. Those who know that we have been here know the treasure that we hold and that we will keep with us for our lives. That pride in Scripps is a gift to this institution, and we will cultivate it and we will nurture it, not only in those who already know us, but those who have yet to meet us. Our strengths will beget strength. We will need to embrace and advance our very best features. We need to remind each other of them and to sing those out to the world. And embracing the best of Scripps, we will not avoid improvement. To the contrary, if we perseverate on the negative, we will be paralyzed by it. But by understanding what we do well, we can determine how we can do it even better, and we will motivate ourselves and support each other in getting there. One of the ways that we instill and nurture this pride is by attracting extraordinary students from so many backgrounds and creating a culture of belonging right here. In this next decade, we will continue to broaden our definition of a Scripps student and embrace the ever-expanding notion of roles, experiences, and opportunities available to them. Our image will not be of the Scripps student, but will be of the many Scripps students, each of whom has their own identity, their own path to Scripps, their own course to academic and personal development, and their own aspirations. And we will cherish and replenish that richness. We must note that there have been times that in the banner of advancing women, it has been carried out in a manner that has resulted in the advancement of some women and not others. Women of color, immigrants, LGBTQ, and lower income women have often found their interests and needs obscured by the broad priorities of the feminist movement and women's institutions. That cannot be our approach. We have been nourished by the wide range of individual backgrounds, goals, and ideas of our students, and our notion of Scripps must be large so that we can strengthen every one of those voices and imbue everyone who comes here with a courage, confidence, and hope. Most of us here know well the inscription beside Honnold Gate that begins, "The paramount obligation of a college is to develop in its students the ability to think clearly and independently." At Scripps's core, it will always be our goal to engage students in deep and critical thinking. And our vision in the coming decade will encompass innovative strategies to do that in an ever-changing world. Eleanor Browning Scripps spent a large part of her career as a journalist and a writer. And that is, of course, one of the many career paths that has been fundamentally transformed by technology over the last couple decades. Our students who will follow in her footsteps will perform the role of journalists in such a very different way than Ellen Browning Scripps did, even though they will have the same goals of communicating news and information. But they will have to do so by writing and editing stories within minutes rather than days or weeks, and engaging in real time with supporters and critics via social media platforms. At Scripps, we must provide an academic environment that makes good use of the way in which knowledge has changed and the way in which wisdom is developed, and this decade must be marked by ever-evolving pedagogy. Now, let's be clear, this does not mean that we will replace the intimate seminars so beloved by our students and alumni with knowledge dispersed through computer screens. We know here at Scripps that the deepest learning occurs through conversation. And we will seek ways in which to use new approaches so that we can take our most powerful tool, that face-to-face discussion, and do it even more and to an even better effect. Similarly, we know how our students' development is heightened by their ability to work on independent research while they are here, and we will continue to use the latest in technology and innovation to deepen and widen our student research experiences. The pedagogical innovations will be many, and this will be a decade of experimentation as it was during Scripps' origin. But our changes will continue to highlight the many ways in which students and faculty alike learn from one another through talking with one another, through arguments, through questions, through inquiry, and through listening. Our ability to situate the humanities in a current context, our expertise in women's issues, and our access to the rich social and cultural resources of Los Angeles provides an ideal conditions for Scripps to export its rigorous educational experience to a broader community and allow us to have impact on our surrounding region and engage and learn more deeply from what is happening right around us. The Scripps campus, as we all know, is a tranquil oasis, yet it is also a gateway and connector to all that surrounds us. There have been times in the history of Scripps when we have focused our energy on what lies within the walls that surround so many sides of this campus. But the next decade is a time to not just gaze over the fence, but to open wide the doors that allow us to access the world outside and invite that world to us. In the next decade, we will engage the environment around us like never before. There will be more collaboration with the consortium, more involvement with LA County, more integration of the classroom education with the problems that face the world, more partnership with organizations who share our vision of a better world, and more engagement as a whole. I have laid out some principles that will serve as a guide during my tenure as president as I take on this very daunting task of steering this extraordinary institution toward its rapidly approaching centennial. There is no one approach that will solve all of our challenges. And similarly, no goal will be met by just one mechanism. Over the coming years, we will instead be focused and aligned around our ideals, and we will seek to fulfill them in all that we do. What this means is that students, faculty, staff, alumni, parents, trustees, friends, you all are at the heart of this institution, and we all are collectively responsible for making this institution all that it can be and achieving its extraordinary potential. I believe that our success will depend on our ability to seek to understand more than to be understood, to learn rather than judge, to forego self-righteousness in favor of empathy. We must be vigilant, aware, have high standards, and use our individual and collective power to push Scripps to its centennial. As we do so, I urge us not to shy away from what will maybe be difficult conversations, and to remember throughout that there is far more that unifies us than divides us. We share a desire to create an educational experience that produces and attracts tomorrow's leaders, educators, and advocates. Scripps students and alumni are living courageously. They are astounding history. They are disrupting their fields, and they are fearlessly plunging into life's greatest challenges. They are living Ellen Browning's Scripps dream. They are living with confidence, courage, and hope. Their stories and the stories of those who follow in their footsteps will motivate us and generate for us paths into the future, so that in 10 years, when Scripps College turns 100, you will see a Scripps that has learned from its past, that questions its present, and that is inventing the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. During an investiture, there is always a bestowing of gifts, and today is no exception. We all marvel at the beauty of Scripps College's buildings and grounds that are so important to our history. And so it is fitting that in honor of this auspicious day, we should add to that beauty with the dedication, in Lara Tiedens' name, of an oak tree planted on Jaquac Quadrangle. The oak tree, which is the national symbol of many countries, primarily symbolizes strength and endurance. Other qualities associated with the oak tree include protection, success, and stability. The oak tree will forever be a symbol of Lara Tiedens' presidency at Scripps College. As many of you know, in 2008, we lost to disease the magnificent American elm trees of this elm tree lawn, one of the most sacred areas of our campus. Upon replacing the stricken trees, the college had the foresight to save a portion of the wood and store it away for a special occasion. Today is one of those very special occasions. Under the skilled craftsmanship of our own Kirk Delman, the college has given Lara Tiedens a piece of our rich history in the form of a coffee table composed of 6 parts, 4 of which have a distinct connection to Scripps. The table includes American elm from one of the trees that we recovered from Elm Tree Lawn, old-growth redwood that had previously been used as a canopy in the Margaret Fowler Garden, maple that had once served as a work table in the Scripps painting studio, now the Motley Coffee House, and the insert tile was formerly a kiln shelf that Professor Emeritus Paul Soldner used for more than 20 years while developing his low-salt firing techniques. In addition, Kirk added Claro walnut from Central California, and a glass top finishes off the president's table, which serves as a microcosm of the beauty and history of the college. If you'd like to see this truly marvelous work, I encourage you to visit the Ruth Chandler Williamson Gallery, where it is temporarily on display today. And in the spirit of giving gifts, each of you has received a tote with special commemorative items commemorating today's inauguration as a small token of Scripps College to take home with you. Finally, before I close the program, I want to acknowledge that the events of this weekend have required the organization and efforts of a small army of staff and volunteers. I would like to thank the Inauguration Committee and its many subcommittees and its co-chairs, Trustees Shalon Colby and Vice President for Marketing and Communications, Binti Harvey, for an unforgettable weekend of events. Please join me in thanking everyone that put this together, including Shalon and Binti. And now, will you please stand and join the Scripps Voices under the direction of Professor Chuck Kalm, accompanied by Royalty Brass, in singing our alma mater, Thy Many Gifts. Please remain at your seats until the recessional is concluded. Then we hope you will join us for a reception on Jaqua West, just north and west of our present location, followed by dinner on Jaqua East. Thank you all very much.